Given that Vince McMahon says WWE makes movies, maybe it shouldn't be so surprising that every now and then characters are created and then killed off for only one feud. Seems mad because we're so used to seeing wrestlers attack our TV every single week, but in the past, some dudes have turned up, done their business, and then faded into the abyss. Sucks if you like them, they gone. I would suppose that the idea is to try and get these personas over enough that they can become a long-running entity, but it's still amazing that they come in for a cup of coffee and then leg it. Want to know who they are? You're damn right you do. I'm Simon from What Culture. Please hit that subscribe button. This is 10 WWE characters only created for one feud and a couple of others. Number 10, Mr. America. Born to take on Mr. McMahon, the strangest thing about this is it happened in 2003, even though it was clearly an idea from 1983. Only 20 years out. After Vince had banished Hulk Hogan from his company, however, the Hulkster had a really smart plan. He would put on a mask, look like a superhero, and say he was actually Mr. America. The best part was, even though your blind nan who's never watched wrestling could see it was Hulk Hogan, for some reason McMahon and his cronies couldn't prove it. It made no sense. He looked like Hulk, he spoke like Hulk, he wrestled like Hulk. The only difference was that he had a blue hood on and different ring gear. The reason this ended wasn't because everyone realized it was ridiculous either. The Hulkster was annoyed at his creative direction, so decided to leave. So there's every chance if he stayed, he could have been Mr. America forever. So yes, all this was done for Hulk and McMahon to fight and to get to another match between Hulk and Piper at Judgment Day 2003. You can see this on the WWE Network right now. You will not believe it. Number 9, the Mean Street Posse. I won't lie, I love the Mean Street Posse. Just the idea that Shane McMahon's rich buddies had bought their way into the company to become wrestlers made me laugh, and that's all I ever need. Plus they were wearing sweaters. True tough guys. Brought in on the 22nd of March 1999 as friends of the boss's son, they had a very distinct reason for being here. Shane needed backup against X-Pac and DX, so why not bring in Joey Abs, Pete Gas and Rodney? They were totally useless doing this and had their ass kicked constantly, and while yes they did hang around to mostly compete in bizarre hardcore matches and stipulation fights against Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, they never really did anything of note. They did entertain me, however, and that was enough for my brain to remember them today. Just 3 goofs playing the fool, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Number 8, Isaac Yankem. It took me way too long to realize this name was a pun, but kids are stupid and then I was a kid. Let's just pretend it's fine. But the soon-to-be Kane was given another go-around as a wrestling dentist in the summer of 1995 when Jerry Lawler brought him in to feud with his arch-nemesis Bret Hart. If it sounds stupid, it's because it was, but it was also really transparent. The King versus the Hitman had already gone on long enough, and this was just a way to extend a program that didn't need extending. It also wasn't fair on the real-life Glen Jacobs, as he was far better than this gimmick would make you think. He also wasn't a dentist. Thankfully, as we know, he'd go on to have a great career as the Big Red Machine, even if he had to go through being Fake Diesel in 1996, which was also a character created for one feud. Why did the WWE hate The Undertaker's brother so? Number 7, the Narcissist. Here is some useless trivia for you. Lex Luger's original WWF gimmick was actually just Narcissus. Like that was his name. It got changed at some point during his debut in the 1993 Royal Rumble, but there was always one guy he was targeting, Mr. Perfect. The concept, of course, was that as a narcissist, Luger thought he was even better than Perfect, and Bobby Heenan totally agreed. Despite a former friendship, the Brain now wanted Lex to put Mr. Perfect in his place, and it was the kind of simple storytelling that made the World Wrestling Federation so easy to watch in the early 90s. You just sat back and had fun. The gimmick was ditched as soon as Vince McMahon needed a new Hulk Hogan, meaning it was gone, and when you look at the dates, it only lasted 7 months, which is nothing. If you want to get super cynical too, it's likely true this only happened so McMahon could create Luger in his own image, rather than use what he'd built up in WCW. You know the deal. Number 6, Mordechai. If things had gone how they were meant to, Mordechai would have ended up feuding with The Undertaker. That is why he was created. Everything about his presentation, from the slow movements and bright white clothing, was meant to juxtapose the dead man. He ruined Scotty 2 Hotty at Judgment Day 2004, and then seemed set to move on to exactly this. Mark Calloway had just returned to playing his classic character after being the American Badass, which meant all of this made even more sense. As WWE is wont to do though, they soured on Mordechai and decided that instead of being on the main roster, he should actually be in OVW, and that spelled doom. To be fair, there was something about the gimmick that wasn't clicking, and it gave the powers that be cold feet. He was gone, we never saw him again, and the sole reason he was designed was never allowed to go anywhere. Within kayfabe, what the hell was this too? Man arrives, beats a member of Too Cool, decides that's enough, and goes away. Bizarre. Number 5, Mankind and the Executioner. So obviously Mankind went on to have a brilliant career in WWE and Mick Foley is a legend. Let's not forget that the character was indeed created so he could feud with The Undertaker, who needed himself a new threat. He'd beaten everybody else, and it worked so well that management thought they could recreate this menace, and so the now forgotten Executioner was born. Played by Terry Gordy and dressed up like some moron you'd see at a tourist site focused on medieval history, the Executioner was going to be a stopgap between Taker's feuds with Mankind and Vader. Unfortunately, Gordy wasn't really up to the task after years of being beaten up, and nobody took the gimmick seriously. It looked so silly. Really, this was the story of two wrestlers at different points of their journeys. Foley was raring and ready to go, whereas Terry was slowly on the way out. Hence why one worked and the other is used in lists like this. Number 4, Kane. Another guy that went on to smash it and also break the title of this video, but come on, you know, I know, we all know it. In 1997, The Undertaker once again needed new opponents and WWE didn't know what to do, and then along came Kane. The aforementioned Glen Jacobs was repackaged as the Phenom's long-dead brother, simply so we could have a proper threat to Taker who was becoming unbeatable. It was even thought behind the scenes this would just be an idea from Bad Blood to WrestleMania 14 where plans would shift again, but the character was so good and so over, it just kept going and going. I think we can now say he's a legend within his own right, and even the likes of Jim Ross and Jim Cornette have said this was meant to be a one and done. There was huge surprise about how fans had taken to Kane. This was mainly due to how well he was being played. I mean, that entrance and look alone. Imagine he'd gone away in April 1998. Would have been a crime. Number 3, Jesus. Everyone forgets this, but man, it was weird. Forget John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, JBL, The Big Show, Randy Orton, or Triple H, and Armageddon, it was the man who can't be seen against Jesus. I still can't believe it. Introduced by Carlito earlier that year, the story was that Cena had been stabbed by this man after the apple spitter ordered him to do so. That is one hell of a dark storyline, and understandably John wanted revenge. Not police revenge though, just to kick his ass in a street fight on pay-per-view. Obviously Cena won, and then Jesus had to go and get surgery, and amazingly, he never returned. So this is all he did. Apparently there was nothing else for him other than to be a segue opponent, as John Cena and Carlito had their own squabbles. Remember this the next time you moan about PG. Number 2, Zeus. If you haven't seen No Holds Barred from 1989, please do go and watch it now. It's over the top and so dumb that you'll either love it or wonder why I told you to do this. It is filled with proper WWF of the time charm, mind, and that's a good a reason as any. What will confuse you even more is that a character from the movie spilled out from the big screen and actually had a match on TV. Happening at SummerSlam, Zeus teamed up with Randy Savage to take on Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and it was the only feud the so-called human wrecking machine ever had. That is amazing too, because he wasn't even a wrestler. He was just a massive dude that Vince McMahon liked the look of because of course. For that reason alone, it's a mystery that we didn't do more, but we didn't, and that's that. The 80s were an odd time. Number 1, Nails. In 1992, the Big Boss Man was the best babyface ever. He was keeping criminals in line and making sure we could go home to a safe house at night. Could you not love that? Well, tell that to Nails, an ex-con who said that the Big Boss Man had abused him during his time in prison, and now he was in the World Wrestling Federation to even the odds. So it was proper good guy versus bad guy stuff that naturally saw the cop from Cobb County, Georgia, put the less than desirable scumbag back behind bars. Well, that's what he wanted to do anyway. Instead, Nails moved on to a feud with The Undertaker, but that didn't go anywhere. Why? Because he attacked Vince McMahon backstage following a dispute, and unsurprisingly, was then fired from the promotion. So there were clearly some plans, but they got stopped dead, and Nails existed solely to feud with the Big Boss Man. Then it was back to doing hard time.
Hello everyone, Rich here, your go-to for Doctor Who from WhatCulture.com, and... Wait. My thing that goes ding when there's stuff, what have you got? It's got something, it just needs to... There, it's... I just need to amplify it. No. Fine. There it is. It's a whole channel dedicated to Doctor Who content. We have got Doctor Who lists, ups and downs, reviews of the most recent episodes of Doctor Who, and a brand new weekly rewatch podcast, and more to come. Now you see the Doctor thinks they're all good, building crap out of stuff. I mean, I can do it too. I found a whole channel with this thing. So if you have enjoyed previous Doctor Who content we've done and you're looking forward to more, then please do go and subscribe to Who Culture, part of the What Culture network of channels, and I am really excited to be a part of it. And if you want to be a part of it, why not drop us an email and tell us just what you are capable of. You can email us whoculture@whatsculture.com. Please subscribe to the Who Culture YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'm super excited for this project to kick off. And again, if you want to be a part of it, please drop us an email. I'm Rich, and I'll see you very soon.